all imperfect and perfectly imperfect, though, in a different way. And to me, that just brings like a higher level of respect when I hear somebody sharing something more vulnerably, because there's this, like you said, there's this like taboo of like, you want to hide everything and not talk about things, but often those things are the things that need to be talked about the most and need to be shared about the most and can help people the most.
Welcome to Mom Boss Central. I'm your host, Alexia Hoffman. This podcast is where entrepreneurial moms like you and me come together for real and raw conversations filled with practical tips, genuine stories, and a whole lot of girl power. But it's not just about listening, it's about building a community. If you haven't already, make sure to join at mombosscentral.com. So whether you're sipping on a cup of coffee, pouring yourself a glass of wine, or tuning in on the go, get ready to join the conversation and become part of our supportive Mom Boss Central community. Courtney, welcome to the show. So happy to have you on. Will you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yes, Alexia, thank you so much. I've listened to your show. I love it. I'm so excited to be on. My name's Courtney Nein. I'm in Savannah, Georgia. I am a single mom of 3 kids and 3 little fur babies. And I love tennis. I love pickleball. I love meeting people. And that's my favorite part, is connecting with other women, connecting with other people, and really finding different ways to hopefully add value here today, as I've heard so many other guests in past be able to do. So I am by trade, I work in network marketing. I'm a leader in the network marketing space with an amazing athleisure brand, but I'm also a family financial literacy coach with Dinner Table Academy, and really helping families set up home economy systems in their home.
Courtney, all of that sounds amazing. So tell me more about what family financial literacy means and what your role in that space looks like.
Sure. Actually, it's something that is pretty new. So in my 20s, I was a financial advisor with a big firm, Morgan Stanley at the time, and kind of got all my licenses, learned everything. But that was not the career path for me. And then I later in life I got my master's in early education and became a teacher for 6 years. So I got really excited. I met somebody at an event out in Austin who we were both speaking on the stage, and I met him, connected, and he literally had the middle point of what I had felt was missing between everything at home and everything in the educational around financial literacy and helping our kids really understand the value of money, but also we're in a changing world, and educating our kids is so different, like creating our own value buckets and adding like our own bucket of value. Who are we? So adding to like your physical value, your brain value, like how much you can put into your brain, into the entrepreneurial skills, into different like ideas. So this whole it's called financial family literacy, like coaching, but really it's like how to help really empower our kids and fill them up with a whole new mindset around money, how to use it, how to save it, how to share it. So I'm really excited about that whole aspect. Like I said, in education, it's not taught in schools. We're not teaching in schools how to like what the value of money is, how to invest it, how to think about it, how to like start earning it early, what expenses mean. And then same with at home. Like parents, we need a parent guidebook. You have no like handbook to parenting. So it's all new. And how do you bring it into the house as well?
Yeah. So talk to me about what advice you have for a mom who's new to that space of introducing financial literacy to her children. At what age should we be starting these conversations, and what could those conversations look like?
Sure. So actually, I mean, not quite in the baby. I see your beautiful baby in the background. Not quite that early, but really around like 2 and 3, you can start implementing little strategies in the home. So one of them is like a quarter system, where kids don't really need to know the value of money per se, but the value of like doing good things creates more good things. So, you can like a Hot Wheels. I feel like in the grocery store when my littles were little, they love the like little toys that are in the middle of the grocery store. That's brilliant by whoever does that. The little Hot Wheels or something. And they would see that. And So assigning an amount of quarters by doing good things, good chores, good behavior things, they get a quarter in like just in a cup or a little bucket or something fun. But you can really start from that age, rewarding good behavior, rewarding good, like if you come read, come and read with me for a half an hour, we'll put a quarter in that jar. And then all they need to know is when they get like 8 quarters, then they can get that Hot Wheels or whatever you're going to assign to it. But it really starts immediately. You can start implementing those aspects. And then the program that I'm with, Dinner Table Academy, has a whole banking app that gamifies banking. So I have a 7-year-old as my youngest. So about 5 years old, they really can get into that aspect and start to see. So my 7-year-old has a debit card, pays for his cavities, pays for like if they want a soda or something out to eat. They don't anymore because they have to pay for it themselves. But so really, once they hit that age, it's like the 3 E's. So you set some expectations in the household of what exactly you live in this household. Like you need to make your bed, you need to help set the table, just things that are like, because you live under my roof. And then expenses. So you start talking through like expenses, and most kids have no idea all the expenses that are in every day. Like my kids were shocked. It really switched everything. And then you have gigs, and this app is amazing. I can share about it at the end, the link for you to share. But the app, they go in and they check off their gigs and they earn. So you're rewarding an individual, and that's where you like can do brain gigs, doing puzzles, or can earn, or writing thank you notes, or different things. And then extra gigs around the house, like cleaning up. We have a dog, so going out and like cleaning up the yard, all the dog poop around the yard can be $1. And you're teaching so many lessons. So
it's so funny because I think my husband had a meeting with the founder or the owner. I don't know who you were speaking about, because my husband was telling me about this app. He's like, this is the most amazing thing. And he said gigs as well. So I'm thinking it's the same one. He's like, I don't know what age, like we need to get our oldest are 17 months old, 18 months old. So there's not really a big, they're not ready yet, but he was so excited. He downloaded it. He's telling me about it. So I love that you're sharing this with our community of women, because I think, there's a lot of us, myself included, I did not grow up understanding, like you said, the expenses. It's embarrassing to say, but I did not know, like leaving the lights on cost money. Like it was just not in my wheelhouse. My parents didn't, not to say they did something wrong, but it just wasn't in our way of communicating. I knew when I wanted toys that costed money. I understood the expense of wants, but the things that I had, there was just a lot that I didn't understand the cost of, the expense of living, the mortgage payment, right? The cars, all of that, just, I didn't understand it. And obviously our upbringing has a huge difference in that. And I know I was so fortunate, so I don't want to discount anyone's experience. I'm just saying that I do think it's important, if you haven't been speaking about that, to explain it to your children, because I think it's very easy for us as adults. Like my husband came from the opposite, where he knew every, the shower costs money to him, and, all the different aspects that we see things differently. A lot of it, I think, is just, there's not education around it, like you said, because nobody took the time to explain to me what necessarily led to a water bill or to a, electricity bill. So I love that you're bringing that up, and that you're kind of spreading this message to moms and to families that are giving children a way to learn about it from a young age, and not to shame someone as an adult for not understanding all that goes into expenses. So talk to me about how you've implemented that with your kids and what their reaction and response has been.
I love everything that you just shared so much. It made me chuckle because my 13-year-old has like a timer for the shower. He doesn't not go over. Right. But I think those are the things that we don't realize. And then you're thrown into like college or adulthood. And so many people, we have such an issue with debt in our country, but it's because we slap a credit card into the hands of a college student with a free t-shirt to go, and it's like, here, go spend and there's no association. So I love that. And that you just said that, your upbringing was different than your husband's, because there isn't a common ground, and this provides kind of a common ground to help people at any age really get empowered on that aspect. I think people don't know what's missing until you realize.
Yeah.
And then I was laughing because when you asked for like, how do I implement it? Well, my most recent was last night. And it brings me to two funny parts. But one, so my son, my 7-year-old, he had his first baseball game and forgot his cup, like couldn't find his cup, which, boy, Mom, I don't know all that stuff. I have to read a book and get educated. I'm like, well, what size cup do I, how do I do all this stuff? But we had already done that. And then we had to go back into Dick's and go buy the second cup, which was like $30. So he is going to pay for half of that because of the irresponsibility of like losing the first one. But it's a necessary, like you can't play without it.
Yeah.
But that's something. Yeah. And he is fine. Like he is totally fine with doing that because he realizes at 7 now, because we've been working through it, that he is responsible for if he loses something else, that's his responsibility. I think also making choices around, so I have tons of different stories about them wanting to do chores and getting these gigs, because once they realize they can earn money towards like the things that they need, it actually saves parents so much money, this whole implementing this. So if you do it early, you'll be on such a good track. You'll save like thousands and thousands of dollars because they stop asking for all of the wants as much. And they get more focused on not even the needs, but like the extras in the needs, the baseball gloves or something that in past I may have just said, okay, you want baseball gloves? We'll get them. That's part of the baseball thing. But now it's like, oh, that's an extra. You need a cup, you need a glove, you need this. If you want those, then you have all these ways that you can go earn the money to get it. And so you're presenting them this path that shows like you can use your value to go out and earn the money to purchase the things that you want. So now my 2 boys are saving for a boat where they've made an agreement, and they're thinking of all the things. They need life jackets. They're doing the research. Like they're probably not going to, they have to be good for a year. And I'm like, okay, let's run with this. But to earn this boat, but they're thinking of all the different things. I feel like it opens up so many different things in their heads to start thinking differently. And they're paying attention to, just as you said, like there's a water bill and cavities. I probably shouldn't have a Slurpee at, the Quick Mart or whatever, because I don't want to have to pay $125 for a cavity. Or it really starts unlocking this logical thinking, which is so much fun. That's been the biggest takeaway for me, is how different their minds are working now.
Yeah.
That was all over.
Yeah, no, I think it's all so good and so important to talk about, because that is, I think, I heard, growing up, we don't talk about sex, money, and religion, right? That was the thing growing up. It was like, okay, don't talk about sex, money, or religion. And I think, people have no problem talking about sex now, and religion, is pretty commonplace, but money, I feel like, is still one of those taboo topics that, when I'm sitting with my friends at dinner, we're not talking about our budgets. I mean, in the business space, I think there's more conversations around it, and business expenses, but no one's talking to me about how I should talk to my kids about money. Maybe it's because my kids are so little, or maybe those conversations just aren't prevalent enough. I'm not sure. But it is something that I think is so important. My husband and I talk about it so much. And because of our upbringing was so different, and our financial mindset is so different. He is the saver through and through, and I'm the spender through and through, and we complement each other really well. But it also can be a pain point, because there's just, like running the dishwasher twice. I'm going to run the dishwasher every single night. And he's telling me it costs money to run the dishwasher. I said, we have a well. We're not paying for the water. He goes, we're paying for the electricity to run the dishwasher, right? Like in my mind, running the dishwasher does not cost me any money ever. And I'm going to continue to run it. If I need to run it 10 times a day, I will. That's the end result. But, you know, for him to explain it to me like, hey, it's costing money to run it, that he's thinking about that is so different than how my mind works. So it's really like, how do we navigate this? And then what do we want to teach our kids so that they don't, you know, go to one extreme or the other? Because I think it can be easy to get sucked into the mindset of, like, when we started dating, my husband had a very, very strict budget and I had no budget. I mean, just totally, totally different. So to try to merge that in a way that works and that makes sense for us and for our kids and for our family.
Yeah. I think that is so, what you bring up is so key. And I think that it's so true. And it's not unusual to have that. But I think one of the things that I love is this Dinner Table Academy provides a free community that has been really helpful for, and for me as a single mom, like I'm making all the decisions. I don't even know what I'm doing half the time. It's like, well, I hope this one works, you know? But to be in a community and be able to like bounce this off of other people and see, I've learned so many different, like so much advice, so many different suggestions for what other people are doing. My oldest is 15. And I hadn't even thought about the fact that she has a phone that I pay for. And then there were all these conversations that came up around, well, I want to pay for it because, like, another parent said, I want to pay for it because I want to be able to take it away and use it as leverage. Whereas another one was like, well, I want them to pay half because they need to see how expensive this phone bill is and pay attention to what they're doing. And it just like bouncing ideas. I love that the community that's been created through it, because I truly feel even talking to you on podcasts or like learning from other people, to me is our biggest superpower that you can't learn in school. You can't learn even just what you just shared about you and your husband, like you're compromising. And I think our world needs more of that, to where you can say, hey, we didn't come from the same background. We don't have the same belief systems that we've learned through our entire life, but we can come together and find common ground and work together. And that's kind of what this is helping people do, I think, in such a profound way.
Yeah, I agree. And I love what you said about the community being such a vital point for you, being, like you said, a single mom and not knowing, you know, single mom or not. I mean, even the two of my husband and I, it's like, we don't know if we're making the right decision, right? We've never had these 3 children within 18 months before, and as I get older, I had a friend, he said he had twins also. He goes, yeah, I've had kids for 8 years, but I've never had 2 8-year-olds and a 4-year-old. And it's so true. It's like, you know, I've said time and time again, if there was a formula to having a perfect child, right? This unscarred, no issues, right? No problems, perfectly behaved child, we'd all be doing it. But clearly no one's figured it out yet. Right. So in the meantime, we're all trying to figure out what works for us, because there isn't this formula. There's not a one size fits all that we can copy and paste and apply. And so with that, it's like the community, and that's same with the Mom Boss Central community, to really share vulnerably and to ask for help, I think is so essential, because we're all doing the best we can. You know, nobody has it mastered by any means. So I love that you've shared about what that community has done for you, because I think it requires people to share vulnerably and to open up and say, I'm struggling with this, or I don't know what to do. And I think that is half the battle, to admit that we don't know what to do. We don't know what we're doing, because especially as women and entrepreneurs, it's so easy to get in the mindset of, I have to know what I'm doing. I have to present myself a certain way to establish authority in what I'm speaking about, which, I mean, we do. And, you know, in social media, that's the thing that we're learning, but it's also okay to share vulnerably. And I love that your community, and, you know, hopefully the Mom Boss Central community as well, is a space for women to have those resources.
Absolutely. And I was going to say exactly what you've created. Like, I think vulnerability, I love Brene Brown and everything she teaches about it. And it's something that I think women have a superpower with too. So I think that like having the Mom Boss Central like community is huge, because we learn so much from each other. I mean, I don't have to take it all, but like it is, the more vulnerable we are, the more I think it shows us that everyone has that like those same like core, I want to be appreciated, I want to be loved, I want to be seen, and no matter what, like it kind of breaks down the barriers to be able to move forward in such a profound way and realize also like we're all messing up all the time.
Yeah.
Like we are all imperfect and perfectly imperfect though in a different way. And to me, that just brings like a higher level of respect when I hear somebody sharing something more vulnerably, because there's this, like you said, there's this like taboo of like, you want to hide everything and not talk about things, but often those things are the things that need to be talked about the most and need to be shared about the most and can help people the most.
Yeah, 100%. I agree completely. So talk to me about, how you navigate your business ventures and being a mom. Talk to me about what, practically that has looked like. When did you start your businesses versus the ages of your kids, and walk me through that.
Sure. My journey's a little crazy. I started my journey up in Rhode Island, and I worked in the yachting industry and like corporate when I had my daughter, and she's now 15. She was actually born with a congenital heart disease and had to have open heart surgery. We had to watch her deteriorate for the first 2 months of her life. And then she had open heart surgery at Boston Children's when she was 2 months old. So that like shifted my whole trajectory in my future. And it was at the same time that the yachting, like the economy was crashing. Nobody was buying or needing yachting stuff. So I went back and got my master's in early education and taught for 6 years. My first ex-husband left and left on a boat. He was a yacht captain. And so he left, and by that point I had my son too, but my son was 2 months old and my daughter was 2.5. So I continued on teaching and running through all my savings for the next few years. And then I couldn't do it as a single mom teaching. I just couldn't support my kids anymore. And that's how I got into network marketing. And I was like such a naysayer, such a hater, like I'm never going to do this. And I was pushed into a corner of being like, this is the only thing I feel like I could possibly do without trading time for money. And I found a love for it, because within any industry, there's bad apples, there's good apples, there's everything. But I found an amazing company. I found amazing support groups. I found amazing people. And that's how I found the balance was, instead of putting my kids in daycare from 7 a.m. till 6 p.m. to be able to go teach other people's kids, which I love doing, but I was not my best self for my kids, and I couldn't. And then I was side hustling at night, trying to figure it out. And that it taught me a lot. It taught me that other people's opinions aren't going to pay my bills, and to kind of get out of my own way, and to also just, again, be vulnerable and say, hey, I'm willing to do whatever, but I'm also going to have to, I know that people are not going to like what I'm doing or how I'm operating, leaving this great teaching and, to try something new, entrepreneurial. And, but it was the best decision I ever made. It's been up and down for sure. But I know through it that I've learned that I can do whatever I put my mind to. Like, I'm the only one that's going to hold me back or rise me up, and it's getting out there doing things. Like, I remember my first podcast was terrifying, hopping on as a guest and being like, oh my gosh. And it gets easier. The more you jump out of that comfort zone, the more you're like, okay, I feel like it's like your children, your young ones, like you're learning to walk. And somehow in that childhood, we stop learning or taking those steps forward. You learn so much in those first formative years, and then you slow down the growth, and it's mostly because of all the voices that come from externally. Like, your young ones are like, oh, I'm Superman.
Yeah, definitely. That is so true. That's such I'm glad you shared that, because I think that we can, as entrepreneurs, let those voices come in, and although we don't listen to them, they do impact us. And I think it's important to acknowledge the impact those voices have, instead of just saying, oh, I did, I'm not going to listen, because obviously there's value, but to make sure that the community that we have are the people that want us to succeed, not just in what is easiest or, the safest option, but truly what we're passionate about, to find people that can help us pursue our passions and feel supported when doing that, even if it's not a safe decision. Because I think as entrepreneurs, a lot of the time, like you said, it's like, the naysayers, they're not going to pay the bills. They don't know what works for you. And that, you know, a lot of people won't understand what works for our lifestyle as female entrepreneurs and as moms, because I know that's the biggest thing I struggle with is when people make comments of like, oh, I'm just worried that you won't have time for it all, or are you taking care of yourself? And it's, you know, maybe it's said in a positive, maybe it's meant in a positive way, but in my mind, it's like, are you doubting my ability to take care of my kids, or are you doubting my ability to take care of myself? Because at the end of the day, you know, I'm doing what works for me and I'm doing the best that I can at it. So, you know, to make sure that community really understands that, I think is a big piece of the puzzle.
Yep. I love that you said that too, because I think you just pointed out how like we all get in our own head too and start making up the stories. Like it's not even the stories necessarily that are coming from other people. It's like
exactly
reading into what someone's comment might mean when it's not probably what that comment meant, or, you know, it's all perception and it's how we perceive things. But I do think it is tough because we lean into the things that we doubt about ourselves and look for proof. Like that is what our brains are wired to do, is to find like, oh, I don't believe I can do this, so I'm going to find the proof that I can't do this out there from other people. When it's almost, you have to train your brain every single day to like shut that down and to be like, I got this.
Yes.
Like I'm going to get disciplined. I'm going to do this. And it takes a lot. I think, excuse me, I think a gratitude attitude has been like the most helpful thing with me. And really, like you said, like recognizing when those voices come in. I think that was brilliant what you just said, like recognizing those voices as they come in and say like, here's what they said, but did they really mean, you know, that might not be, am I perceiving this? And if you're unsure, ask. Be like, hey, did you mean like that? Because I do that same, I was thinking about that same thing with my mom, or somebody saying like, I think you're working, like, and I get so offended. And I'm like, but I love working.
Yes, exactly. We like for our hobbies, it's like, what do you do for fun? Like build businesses. Like we love that. We love to spend time working on our businesses, but not everybody understands that. So I think, you know, it's easy for me to assume the worst of someone having criticism when really they're just curious maybe, or they don't understand. So yeah, I think that is a huge piece of it as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think that is super true, but it's funny how much power we give the little voices and the perception and the what ifs in our head. I always am amazed by that.
Yeah. Talk to me about like your time and how do you feel like there's work-life balance? You know, how do you navigate what that looks like, especially, you know, solo parenting is difficult, as everyone who's done it, you know, knows, but to do it full time, I mean, talk to me about how you balance all of the things.
I'm not sure if I really balance, just navigate day to day. No, I think it's, you know, I feel like our life is like a hot mess over here in like the best way, because it's really, it's like, I think every mother, and I think it's single, I think women are superheroes, and I think that women entrepreneurs are superheroes, and it doesn't matter if you're single, married, widow, like anything you're taking on. If you have that mindset, like I know you do, like you just keep taking on more and more until your plate is overflowing anyways. And you just kind of prioritize, what do I need to get done? For me, my kids are 7, 13, and 15. So high school, middle school, elementary, they're all over the place in every activity. And I try to balance by making a to-do list of like, what do I need to do around the day, and really prioritizing and knowing. I think something that has always given me grace is like, it's what has to be done, but also like, it's not a big deal if I don't finish my to-do list. I used to be super type A, and like every dish had to be put away. Everything had to be done. Yeah. And then when I became a single mom, that first, like with all in school and stuff, I was like, the playroom doesn't have to be beautiful. Like at the end of the night, nobody's coming to see it. It's just like, it's me. And now, I mean, I literally have like a list in my face right here, must-do list. But I think I operate off of lists and just like prioritizing. And, you know, this new business with Dinner Table, which is, you know, 6 months or something now, but when it came along, I had zero time, but it was such a passion of mine that you make room for the things that you know are the most important in life. And then I think leaning in too, asking for help, knowing that
Definitely.
like people love to help, and
Yeah.
like leaning into that support. And that's why the whole like flipping the switch with dinner table and the home economy has been amazing to
Yeah.
like pass that power to my kids. They're doing the
Yeah.
laundry and mopping the floors and doing the
Yeah.
dishwasher. And so that's been amazing as well to like just kind of free up time, but see them be a part of the working, and they have more invested in themselves, like more intrinsic
Yeah.
about like their role in the household, that they feel more power.
Definitely. Yeah. I love that you said that before you started, you felt like you had no time, but it was a passion, and then you made time, or you found the time. And I think that's such a huge key to being a mom and an entrepreneur, because I know like all the things that I feel like 10 different projects going on at all times, but when I'm passionate about them, I feel like I have so much more time. And that's what I like tried to explain to people. It's like, oh, how do you have time to start a new thing? It's like, when you're passionate, you have more time and more energy than if you have one project that you're not like fulfilled doing. And I think that to me was such a big aha. It's like, okay, I can do so many more things if I love what I'm doing, where if I'm doing one thing, but I'm not like really excited about it, then it's just like an energy suck and like draining the life out of me. And that's taking all of my resources.
Yeah, I think what you said there nailed it. Like that is the most, if anybody takes anything from this, take what you just said there, because it's the energy. It's the energy.
Yeah.
Your energy is like, and when your energy is on point, then everything flows. You're in like, everything just flows. Your mood is elevated. I just feel like, so finding that passion and really leaning in. And that's why I think you got to shut out the voices, because it's not always what somebody else thinks is like your right path necessarily.
Yeah.
My family did not like me stopping teaching, to venture off, but you have to like really go with that gut, and you're given that intuition. Women have it especially, and it is amazing. But the energy level is, you just nailed it with that, because that's what I think changes the game. You wake up excited, you stay up late, you get up early, and it's not like you have to, you want to. You're like excited to.
Yeah, exactly. I know in the newborn phase, like starting Mom Boss Central with like a 1-month-old baby, it was like I wanted to stay up and work on it. Like I was not, my husband's like, go to bed, you're going to be tired. I'm like, no, like I'm excited. Like I really want to do this. I want to create this. So, Courtney, this conversation has been amazing. There has been so many cool takeaways, and I love all the different places that it went. So tell our listeners, where can they connect with you? What do you offer? And then we'll link everything you talk about in the show notes as well.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, the best way to connect is on Instagram, I am Courtney.Nein. That's my Instagram handle, Nein, and that can be in the show. But, and then Courtney.dinnertable.com is how to connect with that free community if you have any interest. And you can get the free home economy. I just got off a Zoom before this. It was $600 to do like the home economy with coaching. And we are now offering it free for a limited time. So amazing in that community, just to kind of, and like your husband, if he connected with Scott Donnell, Scott is like the most amazing person, the founder of everything. He's speaking on stages all over. And it's kind of just blowing up. But I think the other thing that you just said is the value. Like when you're pouring value, you're pouring so much value in Mom Boss Central that gets you passionate and your energy high too. So I definitely think if you want some financial literacy, like you're going to get so much value, which is why I'm so passionate about this, is the value that it's bringing to other people, like lights you up. And it definitely like lights me up. So it's Courtney.dinnertable.com. And there's a lot of free resources there. And the app is free as well. So
awesome. That is so great. Well, thank you so much, Courtney, for everything. Like I said, everything will be linked below. And I'm just so grateful that you were on the show and that you could share all of your wisdom with all the mom bosses in our community. So thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me. I am super honored to be on here and really appreciate it. So thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Mom Boss Central. I hope you found inspiration, encouragement, and maybe even a few new strategies to rock your mom boss journey. Remember, you're not alone. We're all in this together. And don't forget to share the love with your fellow mom bosses. make sure to join the community at mombosscentral.com. It's completely free and a space to connect with like-minded women. All you have to do is sign up and start connecting. Until next time, keep pursuing your passions and living authentically. We're so happy to have you as part of the Mom Boss Central community.